Caitlyn Clark hit one tee shot at a charity golf event, and the sports world lit up. Her appearance alongside LPGA star Nelly Korda became an instant viral moment, drawing a surge of interest rarely seen in women's golf. The LPGA rode that wave, pushing highlights, interviews, and behind-the-scenes moments, celebrating the crossover magic of an athlete who moves audiences across sports. But behind the scenes, the WNBA's response was anything but celebratory.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Clark reportedly received an official warning for the appearance, with league officials concerned about optics and boundaries. What the LPGA saw as opportunity, the WNBA viewed with suspicion. That disconnect highlights a deeper issue: how leagues treat the very stars who are expanding their visibility. While the LPGA maximized Clark's presence to boost its brand, the WNBA's reluctance reveals a missed opportunity rooted in outdated thinking. In today's media landscape, where attention is currency, leagues can't afford to sideline their biggest draws. Clark's swing in a different sport may have shown more than her versatility. It exposed a growing divide in how women's leagues handle star power. Caitlyn Clark made national headlines again, but not for anything she did on the court. Nope. This time, the rookie phenom stirred up the sports world by showing up to a golf tournament. And not just any golf event. An LPGA Pro-Am, where her surprise appearance instantly transformed a quiet, niche charity outing into a record-breaking media spectacle. You'd think this would be the kind of cross-sport celebration everyone could agree on. A top-tier athlete, using her massive platform to uplift another women's league? That's a win-win, right? Well, apparently not for the WNBA. Because while the LPGA was out here promoting the hell out of Caitlyn Clark, posting her highlights, designing graphics, dropping clips, and marketing her like the face of the entire event, the WNBA? Dead silent. No reposts. No congratulations. No acknowledgement that one of their biggest stars just helped another women's sport hit new highs in exposure. And then it got worse. Word got out that Caitlyn Clark received an official warning from the WNBA for the appearance. Yes, a warning. For showing up. For bringing attention. For helping grow women's sports. So while the LPGA was busy celebrating her like their new MVP, the WNBA treated it like a problem. You couldn't create a more glaring contrast if you tried. Let's break this down, because it's not just about golf. It's about how two leagues handled the same moment in completely different ways. The LPGA saw an opportunity. The WNBA saw a liability. And the divide between those responses speaks volumes about the state of women's sports marketing. When Caitlyn showed up to the LPGA event, she didn't sneak in through a side door. She was strategically promoted. They made her the face of the event, pairing her with top golfer Nelly Korda and turning a charity Pro-Am into a high-profile media moment. They understood exactly what they were doing, using Caitlyn's star power to draw attention to their league. And it worked. Viewership spiked. Social engagement skyrocketed. Ticket sales, merch, global reach, it all went up. They didn't just welcome Caitlyn. They centered her. Meanwhile, back at the WNBA, crickets. No retweets. No posts. No, look at our star representing women's sports. Just silence. And then the kicker, a formal warning. It's not just disappointing, it's confusing. Caitlyn Clark is one of the few athletes who has managed to cut through the sports media noise in a massive way. She's not just a standout in the WNBA. She's a cultural force. Her college games broke records. Her jersey is everywhere. Her rookie season was hyped like nothing we've seen in years. This is the kind of athlete leagues dream of. The kind that brings in casual fans. The kind that sparks debate on ESPN. The kind that generates real money. And instead of celebrating her growing influence, the WNBA punished her for using it. It's not hard to understand why fans are frustrated. The LPGA understood what it meant to have Caitlyn Clark show up at their event. They didn't care that she wasn't a golfer. They knew that her presence would bring attention, bring fans, and bring energy. They weren't worried about protocol. They were focused on growth. And it wasn't just about numbers. Caitlyn was interacting with fans, signing autographs, cracking jokes, the kind of authentic, feel-good sports moment that gets people to care, the kind that makes clips go viral and brings in audiences who normally wouldn't give golf a second look. She was, in every sense of the word, an ambassador, not just for herself, not just for the WNBA, but for women's sports as a whole. And the WNBA didn't just ignore it, they discouraged it. Think about what that says, not just to Caitlyn, but to every athlete watching. If you step outside the lines, even to uplift other women's leagues, you're a problem. You're a branding risk. You're too visible. That's not just a misstep. That's a message. The LPGA turned Caitlyn's appearance into a blueprint for how to use star power. The WNBA turned it into a cautionary tale. This wasn't just a one-off moment. This was a spotlight on how different leagues treat the athletes who carry them. One embraced her crossover appeal. The other pretended it didn't happen, and then quietly reprimanded her when it couldn't be ignored. And the fans saw all of it. People online were quick to call out the WNBA silence. Sports analysts questioned the logic. Why wouldn't the league lean into this? Why wouldn't they acknowledge the exposure, the goodwill, the momentum? Why wouldn't they support the most popular player on their roster showing up and winning the narrative across all platforms? Because this wasn't just Caitlyn Clark showing up to a golf course. This was Caitlyn Clark helping bring two women's sports leagues into the same conversation, without needing a press tour, a sponsorship deal, or a corporate script. And instead of supporting her, the WNBA pulled back. That reaction doesn't just miss the moment, it kills it. Meanwhile, the LPGA walked away with a win so big it'll probably show up in their next investor report. More fans, more eyeballs, more respect, all from one smart, strategic decision. Celebrate the star. Amplify her. Don't micromanage her. This is what separates leagues that are ready for the modern sports era from the ones still stuck in outdated thinking. The numbers don't lie. Caitlyn's appearance translated to actual growth. The LPGA didn't just get a good photo op, they got results. More people talking about the event. More people watching the clips. More people following their players. And they didn't even have to fight for her. She just showed up. The WNBA, on the other hand, seems to be fighting against her. There's a lesson in here, and it's not subtle. Leagues grow when they support their stars. Not when they police them. Not when they ignore them. Not when they undercut their momentum. Stars are the strategy. And this goes beyond Caitlyn. This is about the culture of sports marketing for women's leagues. The LPGA saw a modern model. Promote the person, promote the moment, ride the buzz. The WNBA is still holding onto an old framework. Tight control, uniformity, no surprises. But that doesn't work anymore. Audiences want connection. They want charisma. They want moments that feel real. Caitlyn gave them that, and one league capitalized while the other froze. So here we are. A golf event just became a case study in how to grow, or stall, a women's league. The LPGA showed what happens when you let your stars shine. The WNBA showed what happens when you dim the lights. And the question now is, will they learn? Because this can't be the pattern. If leagues want to compete in a modern sports landscape, they need to move with their stars, not against them. They need to be agile, responsive, and bold. Not scared of visibility. Not scared of success. Caitlyn Clark showed up. She brought the spotlight. She brought the fans. She brought the conversation. One league embraced it. The other issued a warning. Let that sink in. So what do you think? Should the WNBA have promoted her golf appearance? Did they fumble a huge opportunity? Or was the LPGA just ahead of the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you're following the drama. Share this with someone who's still trying to figure out why golf is trending. And don't forget to subscribe, because you already know in the world of sports PR, the next meltdown is never far behind. At this point, it's hard not to ask, what exactly is the WNBA afraid of? Caitlyn Clark didn't skip practice. She didn't blow off a game. She didn't post something controversial. She showed up at a charity golf event. She wore a polo shirt, held a golf club, smiled for cameras, signed autographs, and brought thousands of new eyeballs to an event that would have otherwise flown under the radar. And for that, she gets a warning? It's one thing to make a behind-the-scenes call, and ask her to let the league know before doing future appearances. Sure, fine, protocol. But an official warning? That's not a casual, hey, just a heads up. That's paperwork. That's someone in a suit sitting at a desk, deciding this was enough of a breach to require documentation. And you can't blame fans for reading into that. Because whether the league wants to admit it or not, this isn't just about a round of golf. It's about the constant discomfort the WNBA seems to have around Caitlyn Clark's influence. Her popularity is undeniable. Her cultural reach is expanding by the day. She's becoming the face of not just her league, but women's sports, period. And instead of riding that wave, the WNBA seems to be trying to control it, manage it, contain it, dilute it. But you can't contain this kind of momentum. You can't file away in an HR folder and hope it calms down. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a great player. She's a movement, the kind of athlete who transcends box scores, the kind of athlete people talk about, post about, argue about. And for leagues, that's the dream. So why does it feel like the WNBA sees it as a problem? This isn't the first time people have noticed the league holding back when it comes to Caitlyn. From game promotions to media appearances to player support, it's been cautious. And now that caution has gone public, now it's documented. Meanwhile, the LPGA is somewhere thanking the sports gods. They didn't just boost their tournament by bringing Caitlyn in. They boosted their brand. They aligned themselves with someone who's buzzy, relevant, and connected to a younger fan base that golf desperately needs. They didn't need to micromanage her. They just handed her the spotlight. Because here's the truth. Sports audiences have changed. People don't just want talent. They want personality. They want athletes who connect beyond the game, who show up on different platforms, who blur the lines between sport, culture, and entertainment. Caitlyn Clark is that. The WNBA should be taking notes. Instead, they're filing warnings. The LPGA's marketing strategy wasn't complicated. They saw that Caitlyn brings attention wherever she goes, and they used that. Her presence turned a quiet charity game into a social media event. They didn't try to overshadow her or downplay her. They spotlighted her. And in return, Caitlyn brought the numbers. Increased ticket sales, higher online engagement, media coverage that reached global outlets. Her presence worked. This is what makes the WNBA's response so baffling. Because this wasn't just a missed marketing opportunity. It was the moment to align with the kind of star power that expands the league's reach. The optics of it all are brutal. One women's league celebrates her, promotes her, benefits from her. The other doesn't even acknowledge her, and then disciplines her. How is that going to play out with fans? You already have people criticizing the WNBA for undermarketing its stars. You already have complaints about games being buried on hard-to-find streaming platforms. And now, on top of that, the league is penalizing the one player who's generating buzz organically. It's a misread, a missed opportunity, and to be totally honest, a misunderstanding of how cultural relevance works now. You don't build a league by forcing everyone to fit into the same mold. You build a league by letting your stars shine. You let them connect with fans. You let them be multidimensional. You support them when they elevate the conversation. That's what the LPGA did. That's what the WNBA refused to do. And here's the fallout. Instead of having a unifying moment that could have made both leagues look forward-thinking, the narrative became all about the WNBA's hesitation. All about their refusal to embrace one of their most bankable stars stepping outside the lines in the most harmless, supportive way possible. Fans were ready to celebrate her. The media was ready to amplify the crossover. The LPGA was ready to soak up the attention. And the WNBA? Silent, and then scolding. You couldn't script a more frustrating response if you tried. What's worse is how this undercuts the messaging the WNBA has been pushing for years. They talk about wanting more investment, more respect, more media attention, more sponsorships. But what's the point of attracting all that if you're going to turn around and punish the exact kind of visibility that brings those things in? It's not just hypocritical, it's self-defeating. And Caitlyn Clark isn't the only one affected. This sets a precedent. It tells other players, be careful how much attention you bring in. Be careful who you collaborate with. Be careful how big you get. That's not growth. That's fear. And growth is exactly what the LPGA walked away with. They turned one crossover event into a proof point for the power of modern marketing. They didn't need to reinvent their brand. They just needed to put someone interesting front and center. The WNBA had that opportunity and let it pass. Again, this is what fans are noticing. It's not just about the event. It's about the pattern, the reluctance, the missed chances, and now the penalties. People don't want to see their favorite athletes stifled. They don't want to support a league that feels like it's in conflict with its own stars. They want momentum. They want celebration. They want the vibe that women's sports are finally being taken seriously across the board. And Caitlyn Clark? She's a walking catalyst for that. The fact that the LPGA saw it and the WNBA didn't says a lot about who's ready for the next era of women's sports. The LPGA leaned in. The WNBA leaned away. And everyone noticed. So now what? Where does the league go from here? Because fans are asking real questions. Will the WNBA embrace the marketing potential of its stars, or will it keep trying to manage them from behind the scenes? Will it evolve with the times, or will it keep tripping over its own outdated playbook? Because right now, it looks like one league just got a masterclass in growth, and the other got caught policing the future instead of planning for it. And Caitlyn Clark? She's not slowing down. Whether it's on the court, on the green, or anywhere else, she's going to keep drawing attention. And if the WNBA doesn't start meeting her at that level, other leagues, brands, and platforms will. Here's the thing. The WNBA didn't just lose a moment. They lost the moment. Because what Caitlyn Clark did at that LPGA Pro-Am wasn't some forgettable off-day charity stunt. It was a cultural crossover. The kind of event that makes casual fans stop scrolling. The kind of headline that lands not just in the sports section, but everywhere. A women's basketball player stepping into the world of golf and instantly becoming the most talked about name on the course? That's not normal. That's newsworthy. The LPGA saw it. They built content around her. They promoted her like she was a PGA headliner. They crafted a storyline that wasn't just about golf. It was about star power, personality, and visibility. And they made sure it paid off. Meanwhile, the WNBA stood still. Let's be honest here. It's not a great look when another women's league does a better job spotlighting your athlete than you do. Caitlyn Clark's appearance at that tournament was one of the biggest visibility moments in recent women's sports crossover history. And instead of embracing the ripple effects, the WNBA tried to downplay it and then penalized her. It's like watching someone hand-deliver a golden ticket and you just rip it up because it didn't come through official channels. And this wasn't just a misfire in PR, it was a strategic failure. The LPGA showed that when you meet an athlete's cultural moment with smart marketing, everybody wins. Fans win. The sport wins. The player wins. Even people who don't normally watch either league win, because they're suddenly pulled into a story that feels exciting and fresh. Caitlyn Clark wasn't out there trying to make a statement. She was just doing what athletes do when they understand their platform, expanding the reach, elevating the conversation, bringing energy into spaces that need it. And the WNBA's response to all that? A warning. That single act says more about the current disconnect than any press release ever could. This isn't just about golf. It's about how sports leagues choose to adapt or don't. It's about how they treat their most valuable players. It's about whether they see their athletes as partners in growth or just employees to be managed. And what makes the whole thing even more frustrating is that the league needs this kind of moment. The WNBA has been pushing for years to break through the mainstream, to get coverage, to pull ratings, to finally make women's basketball a year-round cultural force. And they have it now. They have that kind of star in Caitlyn Clark. She's a household name. She brings in fans who've never watched a WNBA game in their lives. But if the league keeps missing the moment, she might not be able to carry it alone. What the LPGA proved is that star power is scalable if you know how to use it. They didn't just hope Caitlyn would bring in viewers. They structured the event around her. She wasn't a side note. She was the draw, and that framing brought in record attention. People showed up. They tuned in. They cared. Not because they were suddenly golf superfans, but because they cared about her. That's how crossover success works. It's not about the sport. It's about the connection. And what does it say when another league knows how to build that connection better than the one she actually plays for? This isn't about turning the WNBA into a Caitlyn Clark fan club. It's about recognizing when a player's moment is bigger than just a highlight reel. It's about leveraging that moment, not burying it under policy. Because here's the part no one's saying out loud. Athletes notice this. Other players see it. Prospective sponsors see it. Partners and media execs definitely see it. And if the WNBA continues to sidestep its biggest stars out of fear of backlash or unfair attention, those stars will find other platforms that do appreciate them. And fans? They'll follow the energy. Every time. Just look at how many people who had never watched an LPGA event were suddenly sharing clips, tweeting reactions, and talking about Caitlyn's golf swing. Not because they care about her handicap, but because they're invested in her journey. Because she feels real and visible and everywhere. That's what modern fandom looks like. And yet, the WNBA's biggest contribution to that moment was silence. And then discipline. It's not just a mistake, it's a missed evolution. We're in a time when women's sports finally have the chance to claim serious cultural ground, not just within their own communities, but across the entire sports media ecosystem. And those chances don't come every day. They come when a breakout star like Caitlyn Clark does something unexpected, and everyone's watching. You either lean in or get left behind. The LPGA leaned in hard. They capitalized on a single day of golf and walked away with long-term value. Brand growth, fan engagement, viral content, future viewers. And the WNBA, they walked away with backlash. Headlines about missed opportunity, fan frustration, a perception that they're uncomfortable with their own rising stars. That perception is dangerous, because once fans start to feel like a league is holding its players back, the goodwill starts to disappear. The hype fades, the momentum stalls, and that's not Caitlyn's fault. That's on leadership. So let's not sugarcoat it. This was the WNBA's moment to show they understand the modern game, not just on the court, but in media, culture, and branding. And they missed. Now, the pressure's on. Because if the next crossover opportunity comes, and let's be real, with Caitlyn's trajectory, fans will be watching closely. Will the WNBA support her, promote her, collaborate with her, or will they try to contain her again? Because at this point, the world's made up its mind. Caitlyn Clark isn't getting smaller. She's only getting bigger. And if your league can't keep up, someone else will. So what do you think? Did the WNBA overreact? Should they have promoted Caitlyn's LPGA appearance instead of issuing a warning? Or did they just miss a historic opportunity to show the world how ready they are to evolve? Let us know in the comments. Hit that like button if you're still trying to figure out how playing golf became a controversy. Share this with a friend who's been following the drama. And make sure you're subscribed, because in today's sports world, the real action isn't just on the field, it's in the headlines.